What if Seçkin Özdemir's biggest challenge has nothing to do with talent? Not experience, not age, not competition. What if the real challenge is something far more complicated? The image people already have of him. Because careers in entertainment are rarely built only on performances. They are built on perception. Audiences do not simply watch actors. Over time, they begin to believe they understand them. They develop expectations. They decide what kinds of characters feel right. They create invisible boundaries around what they think an actor can be. And sometimes, those boundaries become more powerful than talent itself. For years, Seçkin Özdemir cultivated an image that worked extremely well. The composed man, the emotionally controlled protagonist, the reliable romantic lead, the respectable figure audiences could trust. These qualities helped establish his place within the industry. They created stability, consistency, recognition. At first, this seemed like a tremendous advantage. Because audiences enjoy familiarity, producers value predictability, casting directors appreciate reliability, everything appeared to be working exactly as intended. But things did not stay that simple. Because one of the strangest realities in entertainment is that strengths can slowly become limitations. The same image that once opens doors can eventually narrow them. Not because anything is wrong with that image, but because audiences become too comfortable with it. And comfort rarely creates excitement. This is where a dangerous cycle begins. People know what to expect. The industry knows what to expect. Even the actor may begin expecting the same things from himself. Gradually, curiosity starts disappearing. And when curiosity disappears, something else quietly follows. Momentum. Because unpredictability drives conversation, surprise creates discussion, but predictability often creates silence. This is why the biggest challenge facing Seçkin Özdemir may not be proving that he is talented. Many people already believe he proved that years ago. The challenge may be convincing audiences that there are still sides of him they have never seen before. And that requires something extremely difficult. Breaking an image that once helped build a career. At first, many people assume that image resets require becoming someone completely different. A total transformation, a rejection of everything that came before. But the most successful reinventions rarely work that way. They do not erase identity. They expand it. Because audiences do not necessarily need to stop recognizing the actor. They need to stop predicting him. And there is an important difference between those two things. For much of his career, Seçkin Özdemir has frequently embodied what could be described as the safe hero. Characters who are dependable, emotionally composed, morally clear, easy to support, easy to understand. For many years, these roles aligned perfectly with audience preferences. But audiences evolve, and modern viewers increasingly gravitate towards something different. Complexity, imperfection, contradiction, characters who struggle, characters who fail, characters who force viewers to question their own assumptions. Because perfection often creates admiration, but imperfection creates connection, and perhaps this is where the greatest opportunity exists. Not in abandoning strength, but in redefining what strength looks like. Because emotional control once represented confidence. Now, vulnerability may represent courage. Showing uncertainty, showing fear, allowing characters to lose control, making mistakes, failing, questioning themselves. These moments often feel more human than flawless confidence ever could. And audiences remember humanity. They remember emotional honesty. They remember characters who reflect their own struggles. What most people don't notice is that image transformation is not only psychological. It is also visual. Because before a character speaks, before the story begins, before emotions emerge, audiences are already processing visual information. Appearance influences expectation. Subtle changes can communicate powerful messages. Less polished styling, more character-driven aesthetics, physical choices that prioritize authenticity over familiarity. These adjustments are not about shocking audiences. They are about creating credibility. Because when external presentation aligns with internal transformation, change feels natural. Not forced. But this is where many reinventions fail. Because they happen only once. A single unconventional role, a brief experiment, then an immediate return to familiar territory. And audiences interpret that inconsistency in a very specific way. Not as evolution, but as an exception. True image resets require repetition. The audience must repeatedly encounter the actor in new spaces. The industry must repeatedly recognize intentional direction. Over time, something important begins to happen. New expectations emerge. People stop asking, why is he doing something different? And start asking, what interesting choice will he make next? That shift changes everything, because reinvention succeeds when transformation becomes expected, not when it remains surprising. But none of this happens quickly. And perhaps that is one of the hardest realities to accept. Public perception rarely changes overnight. Years of familiarity cannot disappear after one project, one performance, one decision. Image transformation is gradual, sometimes frustratingly gradual. It requires patience, consistency, strategic choices, and perhaps most difficult of all, the willingness to tolerate uncertainty. Because change always creates temporary discomfort. Audiences need time to adjust. The industry needs time to reconsider. The actor himself needs time to grow into a new identity. And during that process, there are no guarantees, only possibilities. But time itself is not the greatest threat. Inconsistency is. Because every safe retreat back into old patterns weakens transformation. Every deliberate choice toward complexity strengthens it. Which brings us back to the most important question. What exactly needs to change? Not talent, not professionalism, not experience, perception. Because Seçkin Özdemir does not necessarily need to become someone entirely different. He needs to become less predictable, more emotionally accessible, more willing to embrace imperfection, more open to complexity. Because sometimes careers are not limited by a lack of ability. They are limited by the audience's certainty about what that ability looks like. And perhaps the future of his career depends on one simple but powerful objective. Not proving that he can do what audiences already expect, but allowing audiences to discover what they never expected from him in the first place. Because reinvention rarely happens when actors develop completely new talents. It happens when familiar talents appear in completely unfamiliar ways. And sometimes, that is enough to change everything.